And this is not happening. We had to create this beautiful sequence of a UFO chase out in the desert. Look at the lighting here. You can see where we put lights. Bill Rowe lit the entire desert. That's a mountain back there. There's a light behind that mountain. We flew a helicopter in front of camera with a car chasing it. This is ultimately going to become a UFO. See how the car chases after it. Here we have the helicopter coming around. Doesn't look anything particularly spacey at this point. Just a car chasing a helicopter. But of course, Matt Beck and John Wash, our visual effect producers and supervisors, are going to do wonders with this chase. Here you can see we started to wiggle the light a little bit to kind of give it an alien look. And Matt, of course, did his holdout mat so we can get rid of the helicopter and replace it with just the light, which will become the alien ship. We then had to land that ship and cloak it, which the X-Files has done a number of times. So here we've taken the light and created kind of a spaceship model at this point. It's not really refined, but Matt Beck ultimately worked on it and made it look real. Here's our holdout mat, looking very round and disc-like, as it should. Again, we have a cloak, which will work just like it did in the other episode. We use the same elements because this is a template for the X-Files cloaking effect. Obviously, we had to create an element for the light coming out of the bottom of the spaceship as a separate element. And here we start to see it come together. This, of course, is a temp version, but you can see how it's starting to shape, and we bring in some of the cloaking elements and morph it and let it disappear. And ultimately, it looks like a real spaceship, as you and I know it, descending and cloaking as the X-Files would do it. When we put everything together, this whole sequence, we started with stars and come back and look at the way that's lit in the background and watch this spaceship come by. Good sound, too.
I have engagement of unidentified flying objects on Fanning Ranch Road, westbound, moving like a bat out of hell.
See the pulsing? This is where the helicopter came by before we put the pulsing in. I think that's very effective. Listen to this run by as it goes by. Whoosh.
Low altitude, max G redirect. Absolutely impossible.
There's an effect. Start with the helicopter, but look the way we exaggerate the pulsing. I think it's very cool. That's all done in post. The helicopter was there originally. We exaggerated the pulsing in post. Made it look really eerie. You'll see it again in a second.
Oh, this is not happening.
Now we'll run up and you'll see the final version of the descending and the cloak coming on. There you go. Instant disappearing spaceship. In VNN, we needed to create the oil in the eyes effect. As X-Files fans will know, this is something that goes all the way back to Piper Maru. Matt Beck created the oil effect by literally putting oil in the water and having it swirl around. Very low tech, but effective. It's always worked for us. Matt then created his eye mats, blinking, temp over the actual actor. Not very exciting looking, but effective. And here we did a version with the oil going through the eyes, looking very X-File-ish and very Matt Beckish. Now this guy, this poor actor, had to have this substance as he leans forward and drops the oil out of his mouth. But we want oil coming out of his eyes, so we cut a series of mats. We cut some streaming oil in CG and some mats of the oil coming out of his eyes. So as he leans over, it's not just coming out of his mouth, it's actually coming from every orifice in his body. Very weird. Very weird. But part of that was that actor gagging on that stuff. It was very glutinous and pretty bad tasting, but he was a trooper. He did it. We also had in this show a grand explosion. Now, this is a helicopter flying in front of an oil well off the coast of California. We put the little derricks on the top so we could collapse them. That's all animated and stuff falling off the side. Little lights that have to interact with the collapsing cranes on the top. The helicopter needs to fly in front of these CG explosions like we have here, which of course were shot separately on a stage, little fire effects, which we end up putting in miniature all around the derrick, and there you can see it. And now the helicopter, since it's flying in front, we're going to need to mat out the background. You see what happens when the helicopter goes in front? It's gone because we're dealing with the background. So that's where the little mat comes in, so the helicopter actually can keep its solid appearance as it crosses in front. Now, Mulder and Doggett are jumping off of this thing, so we put them on what they call a descender. See that little wire behind them? They're actually jumping about 20 feet, and the descender is holding them, and we shot in slow motion. They're against a big green background, and this is kind of fun for them, and a little scary. It's perfectly safe. We shoot some contrast backgrounds because there's all sorts of things going with the fire. We then did a split screen where the two of them are side by side. We take the original effect shot of the explosions in this miniature here. We couldn't actually do this out in the real oil derricks. We do a little composite split screen, and when the scene is put together, I think you'll find it very effective, and I think pretty realistic. I kind of think it works. And here a little homage Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Let's jump.